Welcome to another episode of That Crazy Triangle Guy. Gonna try to make this one quicker today. We're looking at Bitcoin US dollar index on the 2-day time frame, and I would like to go over the expansion off the various time frames today because we are seeing expansion from low volatility on the 2-day, currently at 17.46%. And yesterday it was down below the 10% line. Um, and we've been talking about this for a while. We're finally starting to see the expansion. Now the 5-day here had been just dangling a carrot in front of us here for a long time. And not fully expanding. We were looking for an expansion back here. Kind of did have this little move downward, but didn't really get an expansive move here and started to fizzle back down, which is currently what we're doing. We are headed back down to about 12%. We were a little bit higher. These time frames all closed yesterday. The 2-day, the 5-day, and the weekly all closed at the same time. So the 2-day is currently expanding. The 5-day should see expansion heading into the next close in 4 days. So one will bleed into the other, but a lot of times when the 5-day and the weekly start to expand, it's the actual move that is causing the expansion. I think the 2-day is predicting this move currently. And the stochastic oscillator is pointed upward here. It's pointed upward here on the 5-day. Here on the weekly, we're still at 9%. Change this because, well, it's still doing it. It's still, I gotta figure out how to change that in the settings because I would like to be able to point to this 9% without it disappearing. Anyway, wonder if I have a dot. If that would do it. Who knows? I'll leave it on the cross. Stochastic oscillator is pointed upward here. Not seeing expansion yet on the weekly. Like I said, this will all bleed into one another. What is really interesting, we are, even on the major time frames, we're at extreme lows in volatility. And previous times when we've seen expansion off this, we've seen big moves like back here in February. This is the 2-week time frame, which is at 0.40, less than 1%. Back here, we saw a move downwards back in June 2022. Here, we started our parabolic move upwards here. This was COVID right here. We don't really need to look at that. This was another move downwards when we saw expansion. But we are not in that phase in the cycle. These are our bear runs, the end of our bear runs. But where we've seen expansion here, we've seen major moves upwards in the market. Boom, boom. So this looks really, really hopeful for the near term. The next few months. And as well the monthly here, which is okay. Now the monthly only back here in 2020. Well, that was again with COVID. That doesn't make any sense because that was a sharp move downwards. Anyway, Did we get below 10% in the history of Bitcoin? The monthly rarely gets that low, and we are at extreme lows on the monthly. And again, now starting back. Well, I'll start over here because here we did see a big move downwards. Here was the beginning of our parabolic move upwards in October of 2020, where we've gotten down to similar lows, let's say right here, because I do think this could be similar to where we are as well as here. See how this kind of drug out a little bit further? We might drag out a little bit further for another month or so. Because this all is leading into what I believe is we'll see the spot Bitcoin approval, ETF approval in October. I think mid-October that's coming. And I have several reasons for that, which I'll get into in a minute, but let me finish this. So I do think that we are in this phase well, I think it's I'm pretty confident saying that this is where we're at, and we're about to see some significant moves upwards. Uh, to what degree is the question. I believe it'll be pretty significant. We're heading for a major bull run to 58 to 62,000 heading into the new year. But I do expect a pullback to 48 um, heading into the halving in April. um, because the market goes up and it goes down and it goes up, it goes down. I think we'll see a move up heading into the end of the year in January, and then a move back down into the halving before our ultimate run. Maybe something like this: up and then down, and then so. Yeah, could we be about right here? Sounds about right. So let's move on. Well, let's expand this a little bit more. Now, and also, so let's switch to the total three because you got to talk about both of them. Total three, same extreme low volatility, lowest in its history, which doesn't go back as far as Bitcoin. So expansion from here, I do not believe is going to make a big dump downwards. I think it's going to be a big move upwards. That's where we're at in the market. Um, this is Bitcoin. I got to switch all these. So same thing here. Extreme low volatility. I'm going backwards now on the 2-week, and you can see the stochastic oscillator 2 is pointed upwards. This is Bitcoin. Switched on the weekly. Yeah, down to 2.38% here with on the BBWP. That's a Bollinger Band with percentile indicator. Represents volatility. Um, and look at this nice weekly candle we're forming here. So now we're getting into this. Again, same as Bitcoin. We had started to see expansion, didn't really see any moves here, and started heading back down into the extreme low volatility range, currently at 11.9%. Stochastic indicators heading upwards. We're heading upwards and should see expansion heading into the next 5-day time period. And the 2-day you can see as well is also expand up. I'm sorry. You know what? I was on Bitcoin. What the hell am I doing? I forgot to switch this over. Oh, So 5 days still extremely low. Here we are heading upwards. Everything's looking good for expansion here. But yeah, so it's the same. Looks a little bit different, but we got a little bit started to get expansion. It failed, heading back down. Should see it expand on the next one. Now let's switch this to the 3-day. On the 2-day time frame, same thing. Whoa, so see, this is a little bit different than Bitcoin. We are still at extreme lows here. Next closing is in a day and a half. So let's see what happens there. And I will go to since we're talking about the total 3 right now, I'll go to my total 3 chart. Let me just turn this on. Major view. This is like my Bitcoin long trending parallel channel. I'm on the daily. So, here I'm on the weekly, I believe. Yeah. Oh, but that's a different chart. So I'll show you how my parallel channel is drawn here on the daily. And these are 2 different charts that I'm going to show you in a second. I'm going to show you a different one with more lines on it. But these channels are drawn the same, with the bottom at the start of the chart here at this bottom, the top here touching here, the center line touching here, and the top as well touching our high here. It also hits right here as well as where we currently are. We've come right down to it, and my line is in the way, my pink FOMC line. You can see we come right down to it and bouncing off of it, as would be expected. So, what I expect to see is, if you subtract the COVID part out of here, this is what I expect here. And let's look at the total 3 on a different time frame. This is on the weekly time frame. And I will switch to a daily just for a second to show you something. I have let's turn it on. I have the Gaussian channel marked off on different time frames here on this chart with many lines. The green lines are the daily Gaussian channel. The top, the mean band, or the bottom, the mean band, and the top of the daily Gaussian channel. Now I adjust these frequently because as the price action moves on, these channels change pretty, dramatically. They're very curvy. So these lines need to be adjusted from day to day and week to week. Every few days or so I adjust them. So that's the daily. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the green lines represent the daily, and the red lines represent the weekly. Oh, I can show you that I've marked them accurately. Well, it's just taking more time, but let's do it. Weekly time frame, Gaussian channel on. You can see that those lines represent the weekly Gaussian channel. Let me get this off because it changes all the colors on everything. So here we are back on the weekly, and we've just headed into the daily Gaussian channel, coming up through it from the bottom. And when we do that, I'm not going to go change the chart and go over it, but what we did in the past, we quickly move up through the Gaussian channel. It's a pretty typical move through that. And we are also entering the bottom of the weekly Gaussian channel. So the daily and the weekly, we're coming up through the bottom of both of those. And so I expect a pretty quick move up to the center line here over the course of the next month. Now, when we get to the center line, well, a quick move through the daily anyway. We might see, once we get to the outside the daily, you might see a retracement back to the top of the daily. So a little action in here before moving upwards. Yeah, probably sometime mid-October. See, that's what the charts are showing, that mid-October is going to be pretty big. Well, I believe we'll see price action heading up significantly into mid-October. And you can see this yellow line and the center of the weekly Gaussian channel are meeting up here at this point. And that yellow line is the neckline of our head and shoulders pattern we've been forming on the total 3 over the course of the past year, almost going on a year and a half now. This shoulder here, this head here, and this shoulder here. And it's a reversal pattern from this red channel into another channel, possibly this green one. We shall see. There's a lot of lines there, but anyway, things are looking good. Now, let's go to Bitcoin on this chart, I believe. Yeah. So same deal here on Bitcoin. I have the top, the bottom, middle, and top of, or the bottom, mean, and top of the daily Gaussian channel marked off in green there. The mean, the blue is the 5-day, the mean band and the top, and the red is the weekly mean band and top. Now, if you follow Gerber Baby, he really talks about the 5-day Gaussian channel as being quicksand. And we did fall into it and got sucked into it here. And we've been in it. This is a daily chart. Well, since mid-August. Here we are mid-September. So the past month we've been in here. And what's pretty key here is that we bounced right off of the mean band. Right there. You can see this bounce right here on Monday, September 11th. And have gone straight up from there, really, day after day after day. So we are traveling up through the top of the 5-day Gaussian channel and have just entered the daily Gaussian channel here. So I expect us to keep moving up through here rather quickly, and we will be at the top again. Now, I'll have to see what happens once we get up here to around 28.2 to 28.8, because there we will have a lot, the top of the 5-day, the top of the daily, and the top of the weekly Gaussian channel, all really, really tight, as well as 28.8 resistance line, which has been major resistance and support in the past. as you can see here and in here. Support there, resistance there, a little bit of support there, but it all stems from here back in May and June of 2022. Well, that's not where it stems from, but we also had it acted as significant support before we eventually fell through with the Terra Luna collapse and Voyager and Celsius and all that stuff. And but this is where that all stems from, is the here, our low in between our double top from 21, and as well as back here, you can see. So that's that, but it reminded me that I did want to point out too where I believe we're heading. The yellow line here on the total 3 is the measured move from the neckline, I believe. These look a little bit funny here. You know? Before I start talking about that. Yeah, maybe we'll save that for another video. But because that does not look the same for some reason. That may be a line I'm not sure what's what there. But what I do want to point out is, what was this? This is, okay, May 21. I do think that we will be moving here once we break through this neckline up into this area, which is consistent with the lows in the Bitcoin chart in between the double top, and it's also consistent with where we were trading back in May and June. This is the next area I see us heading to on the total 3. Anyway, okay, I better end there. Was there anything else I wanted to say? Let's get away from that too many line chart. What the heck just happened? I don't know what that was. Anything else? Oh, yeah. I want to zoom out here. So once we break through all this stuff, I believe we will continue on our major bull run over the course of the next few months, heading up to about 58,000, 58 to 62,000. Before, we might get, I have this as February. We might see this back here, get up to 62,000 in January, and then kind of come back to 48 before moving upwards. This is where we will start our parabolic run in June of 24. And this X and this X here, the 48 and the about 55, are, you can see the lines I have here. I've gone over this in the previous video, that something about where we will be at having the Bitcoin price. Go back and watch that. Go back and watch that video, and it explains exactly how I came up with these numbers. So, like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks.